few of them talked about the cold dust cloud. That big dust cloud we saw rolling down the street was cooler than ambient temperature. Another thing we'll notice is after the dust cloud passed, we didn't have any toasted bodies, no cooked bodies. Matter of fact, we haven't seen any evidence of anybody being cooked, which was quite interesting. We see these toasted-looking vehicles, but no cooked bodies, and reports of cooler than ambient temperature dust clouds. And when I first read that, I was wondering, could it be that the energy of the material was they pulled out of the material, and that's why the temperature dropped? Because that was used from, if something is ambient temperature and you remove some energy from it, it's going to drop in temperature.
Very interesting. So this is really following the physics of the event.
Just trying to think of what would cause this, what we see or what is happening. If the temperature drops in a material as it comes apart, what explanations are there for physically what's going on? And John, I believe you have some experience with things being colder.
Colder, and some of the samples, when we're experimenting with them after we shut down, we might go in and examine these samples. They seem to be colder, but what I think of too, which has been brought up in the psychotronics Black Ops world, is that that's made comment quite a number of times, has been if a woman sees her child being a car landing on her, she'll go and lift that car off with superhuman strength, but they estimate also that around her that the actual environment will drop a few degrees down, which has interested me, and I always seem to pigeonhole all these different things over the years from Black Ops, from different scientific explanations and experiments, which means there's a huge amount of energy supplied to the human body
from somewhere.
From somewhere. And again, it goes back into the zero-point energy or quantum Casimir effect or other very unique situations.
Now, that's fascinating. That's really fascinating because that goes into the multidimensional aspects of the human body and its ability to draw on other dimensions of energy.
That's very true, and proven a lot by scientists such as Robert Jan at Princeton University, and has been a topic of late in the such topics as The Secret, and being proven out by scientists and presented on Discovery Channel, such as The Secret and quantum science and quantum physics. And I've witnessed this personally with doing experiments in The Secret kind of thing. Things will manifest in reality later on, meaning that there are interdimensional connections and strings that can be manipulated or for good or bad.
Very good. So, take us further along on the journey now through what happened at the site.
Well, I have more pictures that correlate. Further down page 1, there's a section called Toasted Metal, and there's a hazmat truck parked out in front of what was WTC-6 that has holes in it. Right below that is a Red Bull can with a hole in it. So that's from John's lab. And it looks very similar. And I noted the toasted look around the hole, the brownish look. And if you look down to figure 60A, that's the hole in the street right outside of where Tower 2 was. And you see the aluminum cladding with that same toasted look. And it's kind of peeled open. So what would be causing the aluminum cladding at ground level to look toasted?
So you're comparing figure 58?
Yep.
And figure 61A.
Or 60A.
Yeah.
One's a close-up shot of it. That this aluminum kind of gets toasted. We could also go to the bottom of the page, and you can see where it says JJ4 that on that menu bar. I think that's the page. We'll look at some other interesting things I had noticed a year and a half ago when I was categorizing all of these phenomena. One was the peeling effect, where cars that don't have laminated doors appeared to be delaminating, splitting down the thickness of the doors or other parts of the metal. So at the top of that page, you have figure 120 and 121. There are vehicles with the split thickness look. If you look right below that, there's some of John's specimens that seem to split from the middle.
This is going on to the next page.
On page 4.
Page 4, oh, sorry.
So if you go to the menu at the very bottom of the page,
oh, I see.
You can jump to page 4. All of the pages are interlinked. The other pages just have other phenomena that with comparisons. And if you look further down, it's interesting to see aluminum just splitting from the inside, just kind of exploding. And if you look at figure 125, 128, 127, where you have this bent aluminum bar that sort of exploded from the inside, and compare that with figure 74, 224, and 74E below that, they're of the World Trade Center towers that look like they're exploding from the inside out.
Well, now, let me ask you a question, and it might seem like something that's totally off the wall, but I'll just ask it. I remember when I was at Stanford Research Institute, and Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff were, I was there at the same time as them, and they were doing their remote viewing, and their big claim to fame at the moment is that at that time is that they were able to draft papers that were accepted into the IEEE journal. It seems to me that you now have documentation that you could put together in papers that would be published by accepted journals such as the IEEE. I mean, you're dealing with comparisons between laboratory effects and field effects. Is this a course of action that you think would be useful, or?
Perhaps it's only so many hours in the day.
I see what you're saying.
But it is intriguing, and I've put into these physical observations and noticing similarities, and that's where things are now. But it is pretty intriguing.
Yeah, because now it seems to me that in this paper you've achieved a new threshold, and that is to have what we could almost call a laboratory control.
Proof of concept.
Yeah, proof of concept, and that brings in a whole new standard to present a whole new standard of expression to the various audiences. I mean, there are so many audiences for this material, ranging from a public audience, a judicial audience,